hit that,
Okay.
and then, here we go.
I might look for water like that. Is there a
Yeah.
vessel anywhere that I
Yeah.
can grab?
Actually, down the hall,
Uh-huh.
under the coffee pot in the, cabinet, there's bottled water.
Bottled water.
Hit that, and then, here we go.
I might look for water like that. Is there a vessel anywhere?
It's funny, the delay.
Under the coffee pot in the, how do you know if there's anyone there?
Let's take a look here.
Nothing here.
Coffee pot in the, how do you know if there's anyone there?
Hmm.
And then how, where do I let them in?
They'll pop up.
Oh.
Yeah, they'll pop.
Go airplane mode right now. And put this in my chest.
Yeah.
Should we just put the table over here? So.
We can.
That's the conversation.
It looks like it's
Session with
on
everybody.
wheels, right?
Yeah.
So you're on three.
Oh, well, the top one's 180. Oh, because it picks up the
And then.
TV
okay,
behind us.
So
Yeah, I don't think there's any way of getting it.
some of the official.
It's a smart owl that,
How are
No
things
worries.
going for your place? I know traffic is down everywhere is what I'm hearing.
Traffic's down and, I'll sit up here and then I'll.
Yeah.
When people start showing up. Twin Peaks is a big deal. Hi, Al. As you talk,
Owl.
it starts to go.
Do you want to wipe the board?
yeah.
But we're excited for Twin Peaks. So, traffic is traffic in January and February for us.
It's not much, yeah.
No, I mean, and if you have a day that you have to, I can do that for you. It's like an hour holiday, so you just put it in perspective.
Yeah. Hey, Becky. My one fan in the valley has arrived. Thank you.
Good to see you, brother. Welcome back to the hood. So you're up in the islands now, San Juan?
I am on San Juan Island. Judy's up there already and I'm gonna fly up this afternoon. I got a 6 o'clock flight though just now, so no rush out of here. I'm halfway worried that, I wait till last minute just to see what has to happen today. And I thought maybe I'd get, I don't know what time,
I
but
can
anyway.
get you there. 20 minutes.
You fly as well?
No, to the airport.
Oh.
Where are you flying?
Out of Boeing Field, yeah. No, that's
No, I
fine.
took one lesson and I was too claustrophobic.
Mm,
I'd rather be on a boat. The open air.
yeah, no, I would not, I'm not a flyer, a pilot in a million years, I wouldn't be. Leave it to those that
No, you're doing.
know what they're doing, or have that gene, because if you're a flyer, you know it, I think, when you're young.
Yeah.
Never
It was
done.
claustrophobic and too many gauges.
Mhm.
I lived in Alaska, a buddy of mine got his pilot's license and we would rent an airplane. Just like go places.
Yeah.
It's like amazing, survival.
Oh, yeah. All the stories are of Alaska bush pilots landing in trees and
Oh, yeah.
barely surviving or
We flew into
not.
the Alaska in Denali, it's
Oh my
like,
gosh, you were up on
and then we
that.
kind of freaked out and flew back out.
Mm. What's, who's all, oh, these
So
are all
who's
people visiting.
in your place? Pete?
Well, this is all delayed a little bit.
Yeah, it is. It's slightly delayed.
Interesting.
So we're also live streaming through YouTube. And so that we can't see who's on YouTube.
Okay.
But we'll go ahead and get started. You know what? There's a Let's do this.
Turn the volume down.
Well, no, the volume's okay there. I think what we need to do is mute it.
There's like, Pete, just so you know, too, there's people in the valley that still don't have power. So we lost our power in North Bend last night at 7, and ours came back up on the hill like at 6:30. So, there are some people in the valley that are, still without power. Well, this might be affecting a little bit of, your audience today.
Okay,
No problem.
we'll go ahead and get started.
Straight up noon. Look at
Yeah,
that. I
it
like
is.
Rob
It
is
is.
an on-time guy.
Pete Nelsons, thank you so much for coming in today for Ask the Experts. Last night, I was doing my prep work, which was watching some of your past episodes.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
One of them was here in the valley.
Okay.
It was the theater that you did, Emerald Theater.
Emerald Theater, now hold on, I'm trying to think.
Emerald, it was across a swamp. It was a zip line that
Okay,
you had
yeah,
to take
yeah.
supplies and send
Okay.
them across the swamp.
That is the same guy that I'm trying to remember, and this is terrible to say because he's a good friend and he's the hard money guy, but he's
Okay.
fabulous. And he has a place not far away, and in fact, you know, we have to be a little careful about where that was.
Right.
Because obvious wetlands for
Okay,
one,
sure.
but it was also during the time, you know, it was a funny period because we were building like mad. The show was, you know, must go on, and a lot of my friends were fabulous and stood up and said, I'll build a treehouse. I'll be on the show. And you know, trying to stay on top of things with King County is difficult. So that was placed up by, I think we called it up by Mount Bachelor or Mount up north by Bellingham.
Yeah, right.
But then
Right,
everybody saw
right.
that, oh, wait, this doesn't, no, this is right where Pete lives. You try.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Pete, today I just wanted to have a chance to talk to you about some of the things that you've done in your business, in the things that worked really well and the things that, oh my gosh, if I were starting a business, I wouldn't do that again.
Yeah.
But you know, you have like the ultimate experience. I mean, what kid doesn't dream about building a tree house?
Well, I certainly did. I remember, I remember so clearly.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, that very experience as a kid molded what I'm doing today, because I remember very clearly when I was in, you know, class, most likely, I mean, for sure, in 5th grade, 6th
Yeah.
grade, thinking in great detail of how this structure I was gonna build in the backyard trees was gonna look like. And that was, you know, the beginning of this whole thing where I just loved the feeling I had when I was dreaming of these things, as we all do. I mean, when we have these dreams and we think about them and they are so clear in our minds, time just sort of slides away.
Mhm.
You know, so maybe those days when you're in school and you're like, oh, I can't wait till we're out of this place. And that's the way I would be able to pass time. So it stuck with me in that way. I mean, it was one of those things where when it was time to consider what I want to do with my life, I would like to reflect on the things that I was most turned on by.
Yeah.
So that's what led me into building in general, you know, architecture, which I love, design. And then, you know, this silly little niche of building tree houses. What an impossible thing to really imagine you could do for a living, but you know, why not try?
That's so cool. Well, I'm gonna have to ask you this then, because, you know, if you're a 5th grader, 6th grader, and you decide, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. And I'm gonna grab, you know, scrap lumber, or, you know, maybe dad doesn't find out that I've taken the pile of lumber and used it to craft things together.
Storm windows, yeah.
It's kind of like how people, you know, start off in business. I mean,
Yeah.
we all kind of make bonehead decisions and that sort of thing, because that's why I'm a banker today, is because I'm a reformed entrepreneur. So I get a steady paycheck this way. Which is a
That,
good
yeah,
thing.
that's a
for
good thing,
some of
that's a
us.
good thing, because it's very scary when you do you take that path of entrepreneurial person.
Yeah.
It doesn't come with a steady paycheck, and I think I had a lot of influence looking at my dad, who was a corporate guy. He worked for a big union camp, which was a big paper company and based in the East Coast. And, I watched during the seventies, I grew up, born in 1962. I love this idea. I'm 6 decades old now. And I have this long perspective, but in the seventies, it was all about, America was really falling short in the cars, there was
Mhm.
all the big guys were going, edge of bankruptcy while the cars from overseas were coming in and taking the
Right.
market, and pensions were being suddenly blown up. And, I was looking at these guys that are all in this corporate world, and they were afraid, I
Yeah.
watched it in my own father, and I thought, boy, someone else is in control.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like that at all. And it really stuck with me. So as I looked for things that I wanted to do in my life, I always thought of how can I have control over that?
Mhm.
And, sink or swim, being an entrepreneur was the obvious answer, really.
Yeah. What were some of the challenges before you even got into the business? I take it that you had a chance to kind of test some of this idea out.
So many challenges, but so many wonderful, lucky things that happened too. I guess when I think of how the treehouse thing really came to be, it was obviously a little bit risky, I just read something the other day. I'm a little ADD, attention deficit disorder, maybe a little H in there, which is the hyper part. And the people that are this way apparently love to have a lot of things going on at once.
Yeah.
They're risk takers. It answers a lot of questions for me, because I don't mean to be a risk taker. I just like the idea of so many different factors that are floating around that maybe I have no control over. But I feel like if I'm careful, I can make it work, and don't mind the idea of 55 things going on at one time, and taking risks like this. So I don't think I saw it as quite the risk that, for instance, my dad did.
Mhm.
Very supportive, always loved this sort of entrepreneurial idea, but was also like, are you crazy? You're gonna build tree houses? Well, okay, I'll go about that. That'll be the long-term goal. But in the meantime, I have to learn a lot about how things go together. And, it's not like when we were 7 in the backyard building your tree house. You've got
Right.
headers that have to be, strong enough to take that load, which is all, seismic things, engineers that really do the math on what it takes to have a beam stretched 12 feet between the posts, or trees in this case. And what's the real math and the engineering behind that? So lots of wonderful learning, a lot of great teachers, along the way. And a lot of great people surrounding me. I did the Ross Perot thing. Remember Ross Perot?
Yeah.
Surround yourself with people that are smarter than you are. And, I recognized a lot of great people that were, and most of them were. So it was pretty easy in that way. But if you could get your dream out there. I'm looking at my friend Benji, who's an early adapter in all this. And I remember, describing a lot of this stuff with Ben when it was still just a dream.
Mhm.
And he'll come on board in a fashion, like support in a way, and encouragement even. That's basically the way it works, is you just keep getting reinforcement to carry on with this thing. Because if you persist, you can't lose. Like if you keep getting at it, if you don't quit,
Mhm.
you're gonna win.
Yeah.
It took 30 years, but yeah.
So when did you decide, okay, this is a viable business that I want to pursue? What point was that?
That was, again, a lot of really good luck in that I located here, credit my wife Judy, we're together 43 years of my 61. She deserves a medal. Yeah, putting up with all the craziness. But she was the one who said, let's move to the Northwest. And I kind of went kicking and screaming. I thought, wet and, really? I mean, but I agreed because she agreed that I could become a builder. I was gonna do I was doing single family homes one at a time. I had a great mentor for that, but
Mhm.
you know, the luck of it was landing here where, you know, as I started to venture into this daydream of building tree houses, there were people like, employees of Microsoft, you know, that had remodeled their kitchens and knew what it would take maybe for a full construction project, you know, where you're actually paying a living wage and you're paying for materials. And so the luck of landing in the Pacific Northwest, where we've got people that are able to at least understand the cost of things, where,
Mhm.
you know, in the early days of Treehouse, somebody would have $800 and I'd say, okay, we can do this. We'll figure something out. But yeah, then it became viable once I, you know, landing in this special place, people understood the costs of things. And so when I really did the math and it was time to do that math and you
Yeah.
say, and they go, okay, you go, well, that's lucky. And so there was no market at the beginning at all for tree houses, but then being in this great place where people know the cost of things, we were able to find one.
Pete, I remember going, when I first met you back in the mid 1990s, when my family and I moved down from Alaska.
Mhm.
Our kids became friends together and we did all kinds of things. And at the time you were doing the treehouse workshops,
Yeah.
which was where people would come in from really all over the country. And you'd find somebody locally that wanted a treehouse built. They supplied the money for the materials and the group would come in and build a treehouse over the course of a week.
Mhm.
And then you'd see how to get it done.
Yeah.
And, but I think what was most fascinating was the concept of Treehouse Point.
Mhm.
Tell us about how that came about.
Okay, so I borrowed that idea from a friend that was building tree houses to rent in Southern Oregon, to Kilma area down by Cave Junction, Grants Pass area, beautiful part of Oregon. And in the early days, I was searching for people that were, you know, weird enough to build these adult grown-up tree houses. And that was a fun adventure too, because I was trying to compile a coffee table book where, you know, this was before the internet, and the way I figured you could get attention, you know, market this idea was to create a coffee table book, and I would look for like-minded people creating these places. And I ended up in Southern Oregon with a guy named Michael Garnier, remarkable character, who was building at the time an early, one of these, a really beautiful treehouse about 20 feet up in these white oaks. And he was doing it to rent. So it was the model that, you know, took me years to kind of go, duh, let's do it this way. Because, you know, we would leave, even these great clients in the Northwest, we would leave and the dust would settle and we would find out that we didn't make any money at all. And, you know, it was a lifestyle, it seemed, in the way, you know, it was fun to be like, okay, we're gonna build tree houses, but dang, we couldn't really figure out how to make money out of it. The idea that you could maybe rent them overnight and then it would be something that keeps giving hit me finally. And so, in 2006, driving home, there was a little sign out in front of the place that is now Treehouse Point. It turned out it was just one little parcel. I do this with my hand because there was an acre and a quarter and a third of an acre and a half acre. Anyway, all those came together on April Fool's Day of 2006 when